What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video where we're going to take a look on Reddit, because at the end of last week there was a Division franchise 10th anniversary AMA covering the Division 2 and the Division Resurgence. So I thought I'd make a quick video on it highlighting the best questions and answers. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. So just a bit of a heads up, Leo, which you will know from the Division 2 live streams, he was answering for the Division team, so the Division 2 team essentially. And then Jonathan, who is actually the creative director over at the Division Resurgence, was answering for the Division Resurgence. So I'm going to scroll, I'll pick out some really nice highlights so you guys don't have to. Let's get into it. So this is a great start for one to cover. Is there a plan to introduce the season locked blueprints into the general pool? So that obviously is the Hunter's Fury season. I think it's season 3. They've been problematic for a very long time now. I don't know why they're so problematic, but clearly there's something seriously wrong with how they're implemented into the game. But the Division team replied, yep, this is on our radar and we'll probably have a solution for them at some point during year 8. So good news for everybody that wants them blueprints. And in fact, just before we move on, there we go. You can see here the guns, if you want to pause it. We've got the Bellstone, Empress International, Uzina as well, Hunter's Fury that I mentioned, Rigger and Heartbreaker sets. So that's a lot of sets that are actually missing, more than I actually thought. Okay, so this is definitely a spicier second question. What's the deal with the Ruin Hunter from last season's Master Manhunt? Turmoil wasn't the intended way to do this, which is obvious. Is the encounter bugged, or is there something that has legit been missed? I'm not asking for a solve here. I guess they meant solution. Just that there is an actual legit way to get the encounter. And then the answer from the dev team is, funnily enough, Turmoil was one of the intended solutions. The team wanted to try something new, different, whereby they'd require a specific piece of gear in order to trigger something. I expect that as time goes on, new solutions will be discovered and some that weren't ever intended in our original design. So that's definitely interesting there, that Turmoil was indeed the solution, but they look like they're open to people finding more solutions, whether they had more solutions that we just don't know about yet, and Turmoil's just the one that they've admitted to us was one of the solutions, whether they have 5, 6, 7 solutions and we just don't know. I guess we won't know, but at this point, yeah, it's much harder to do it with the global event now missing for that. Can we even activate the global event in there now? Maybe we can actually. So maybe it's actually still possible. Let me know down below in the comments. It certainly will be easier right now with the anniversary global events again. But obviously when they're not on, it will be significantly harder without a one-shot, headshot, buffed up team build to get that Hunter dead. I'm going to mention this one really quickly, that the specialization rework is still on the radar, but for now it looks like it's still sidelined. I was going to scroll past this question, but actually there's something in here that is very, very interesting. So it says, as part 2 of the question, here is some exotics like the Sanctum Imperium and the Provocateur could really use some buffs. When could these exotics and more get a balance pass? And it says here for the answer about the exotics balance, we want to do a balance pass to keep all different gear viable to the meta. So essentially at some point it looks like we will be getting a balance pass again, like we've had in the past. One nice bit of news here, the yellow filter is something that we intended and it's actively working on a fix. That's a little bit, oh sorry, the yellow filter is not something that was intended and they are actively looking for a fix. So that's good. Hopefully that will come soon as well. PlayStation users rejoice, texture fixing is also on the way. Question from Virtuals, that Are we going to get a PTS for Year 8 Season 1? And the answer was yes, later this month. A nice question here that basically gives us the answers to matchmaking for retaliation. And yes, that is coming soon. It says yes, and it's coming very soon to the game. Not really newsworthy, but I did like this question because it's one I really agreed with. So are there any plans to reuse the Dark Hours raid map in the same way the Iron Horse map was reused for the recent manhunt? And the reply was, we're carefully paying attention to the community's reaction of these type of changes. We want climax missions to feel special and unique, and we're daring to be a little bolder with each iteration. Now that Iron Horse was used, there is a precedent to use the Dark Hours map as well. Are we going to do it? I don't know yet, but it's on the table. Well, I'm glad it's on the table. Push it right in front of the person it needs to get in front of. I just wanted to pull one thing out of this lengthy question that we've got here in front of us. And it says, we've got wonderful news about Year 8, another DLC, Incursion and Classified Assignments and Survivors. What about the raid in Year 9? So I assume they're asking, could we get a raid in Year 9? But if you scroll down to the answer, it says, I understand that a new raid would be cool, even if in a smaller scale. We don't have any plans for one in Year 8, and Year 9 is quite a way ahead of us. Is that confirmation of Year 9? Who knows, but I really hope so. Great question here for TDR. Hey Jonathan, just wanting to know if we'll get a roadmap on the post-launch plan for the game. Looking forward to playing the game at launch. We will share visibility on our first season and its content in the few days around launch. And while we do plan to, well, we have a plan already set out for Year 1, we're still fine-tuning its details. So sharing visibility on our longer-term roadmap will unfortunately have to wait a little bit longer. But rest assured, we do want to communicate about it as soon as we can, as we absolutely understand how essential that is to build trust with you, the players, Jonathan. So good to see that they've got a lot of content planned out for, I guess, at least the first year. So that's that's a very, very good sign for a launch of a game, that it's not just going to launch and turn to dust essentially. I wanted to include this question because it does talk over some very important points about anti-cheat. And as you can see here, the answer was anti-cheat, lag switcher detection and other security means is a top priority. We've got a dedicated team working only on these efforts now, which is great to hear. This is new news for me anyway. We are hoping we can push an update to our anti-cheat in April and continue the efforts on the security front throughout the year. Then there was a quick question about new maps and new dark zones and things like that. And the answer was, we currently don't have any plans for new maps, but the lead PvP designer is tinkering away, which obviously means that person is now in a job and working, which is great. But they're obviously tinkering away at updating our existing game modes, Conflict and the DZ, in new and fresh ways soon. So PvP fans, hopefully that ticked the boxes you've been waiting such a long time for. You know, anti-cheat, get rid of them cheaters, and then new stuff to do in PvP. One interesting point from this longer question here were about new exclusive rewards for Paradise Lost, Dark Hours and Iron Horse. And the answer basically was yes, we would like to bring new exclusive rewards to the incursions and raids. Nothing we can share for now. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm sending it right now to the team in charge of it. So yeah, that's a good sign. That's something I definitely want as well. One nice thing here for TDR, the question, will Resurgence receive seasonal content? And the answer was yes, TDR will have seasonal content you can enjoy. Stay tuned for more info. So good to see that we'll definitely be getting seasonal content there. I do wonder if it'll run similar to Division 2, where we'll maybe get 3 seasons a year. I don't know yet, but I guess we'll find out soon. Quite a funny one here. Can you fix the Tinkerer glitch for the 5th time? And the Division team replied, I hope you enjoyed the 1st, 2nd and 3rd fix. Haha. The Tinkerer glitch is a new version of Nightmare Fuel and we are continuing to tackle it if and when it comes up. It will be fixed. TDR isn't even out yet, but someone was asking about future content updates to the Dark Zone. And Jonathan replied, assuming you meant the Dark Zone, we do hope to expand on this game mode in the future, yes, although we can't reveal more about this yet. A bigger Division 1 Dark Zone? I'm here for it. I think we can take this as confirmation that hunters are in the Division Resurgence. As you can see here, will we see hunters in the game during free roam, mission or some events? Jonathan replied, with hunters being secretive by nature, I can't answer that one directly, but we are not forgetting about them. How could they? So I really like this longer question for TDR. And what we'll do, we'll just go over the answers because it is quite a lot. But they talk about balance for skills locked under specializations. And because of how they do it and they are locked behind specializations, it's actually easier for them to balance, which is great. Gear sets work a little bit different in TDR than TD2, but there are options that synergize with every specialization, which is great. So basically your gear can synergize with whatever specialization that you are running, which is really, really good. At the moment, it's limited on target farm locations, but they plan to add more in the future, which is great. So they were some nice answers there. We've also got here, regarding min-maxing builds, we believe that there will be ample options for you to do this in the end game, and that's something that we'll monitor and change as needed in the live. They wouldn't talk about the end game. In a previous question, somebody asked that and said, what is the end game? They didn't answer that question. But yeah, and that's kind of good. And then one very important point here, which I think is really important to stress when it comes to TDR. It says, regarding being a mobile game with a stamina system, there are no restrictions on how much you can play any content in the game every day, but there might be restrictions on how many times per day you can get certain key rewards. So yeah, you can actively have fun and play as much as you like. There certainly isn't going to be any play type restrictions based, and I think that's kind of important to point that out. And then last but not least, we're going to finish up with this TD2 question. Hey devs, I'm playing since day one. Like, we never will get a PvE instance for Dark Zone. Can you guys put an option for solo Dark Zone ? It's hard reach a server with 2x4 players and fight with them, especially when they make a multi-group. And then we get the division team's answer. I think year 8 is going to surprise you quite a bit. And that obviously then led into mass hysteria around what that means. Does that mean that we're going to get a solo Dark Zone, a PvE Dark Zone, something that people can't multi-group? I mean, there's a variety of options that we could go down here. And obviously, you know, from me being able to play the Chinese version of the game, we know that version of the game currently has a PvE Dark Zone. And then obviously, naturally, you see some rage on the internet. The Dark Zone's not meant for PvE. It's meant to be PvP only. It's kind of the bloodstream of the Division 2 that you can go rogue and kill people in the Dark Zone. And I fully see everybody's point of view. And I kind of agree with every point. Yes, you know, the Dark Zone is Division's, you know, go rogue, kill people, baby, right? That's the extraction shooter vibe that it has always had. But we do have the luxury of 3 Dark Zones in the Division 2 where we don't in the Division 1. And I think that my feeling would be very different in Division 1 to what it would be in Division 2. For instance, in Division 1, you can't easily do that unless it's multi-instance, which I assume would be a huge amount of resources. Whereas in Division 2, we do have the option of 3 smaller Dark Zones. So one of them being a solo, is that really a big deal? Probably not. And it probably gives life to areas where it wouldn't normally get it and brings people into areas where they wouldn't normally get it as well. So I'm very open to whatever this is. I don't know about you guys. Obviously, you'll let me know down below in the comments. But if it kind of expands more people into more areas and more replayability, whether that be PvP, PvE, PvEVP, or whichever way around it is, you know, a bit of everything, then I'm kind of here for it. Or if this is some kind of test leading up to Survivors, where if that is like Survival, you have the PvE version and the PvP version, I'm just not against it. And I think anything that's going to bring more replayability to areas, anything, you know, for a PvE player to get into the Dark Zone, they are beautiful areas. And for me, that would be nice for them to get in there and see it, you know, go and loot a landmark without any risk of a rogue agent shooting you in the back, or a cheater, or being multi-teamed. You know, there's a million different good reasons to why that should be allowed to happen. But as long as it's not at the detriment of PvP players, is kind of where I'm getting at. I see it from all angles, and I think that would be fair. As long as it's not taken away from PvP players or people that want to go rogue, they can still have an area, they can still go and do that. That's great. But I think it needs to be, you know, a nice balance. But definitely interested to see where this goes. And the fact that it confirms that this is year 8. So I'm certainly looking forward to whatever the next live stream will be, where I guess we'll find out more about year 8 and the new season Rise Up. I expect that to be soon. The anniversary season is very short. We're nearing halfway as far as we know. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. That's going to be it. They're the key good questions that I picked out. Let me know if I missed any other juicy info. But there was a couple of nice juicy points in there which I wanted to make a video of and just kind of share with you all, because not everybody read it. In fact, I should probably read it more. I don't read it enough. But with all that said, agents, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.